The stock market and Bitcoin markets both crashed very hard recently, and a lot of people are wondering when this will all end. What is going on in the economy right now? I want to talk about that in this movie, along with something shocking I didn't expect to see. In other words, Jack Dorsey is basically saying that XRP has always had a better plan than Bitcoin. Bitcoiners didn't care about usefulness for a long time. I've kept saying on this channel that utility is going to be very important for building a strong network effect and getting a lot of people to use something. Stay with me for the whole video because we're going to talk about that. Your help is very much appreciated as always, thanks a lot. Thank you to everyone who liked the movies and signed up for the channel. These two easy things help me a lot. Also, if you want to buy some XRP, check out my favorite streams, Uphold, and the link is in the video's description. Now, I'll get right to it and I hope you guys enjoy what I have to say. There is a small group of people who like to collect them, but most people don't do it. I think XRP might be able to do things like that. Giving the XRP record to everyone in the world through a top-down network effect is what I think has always been the best way to go about things. Instead of getting people to learn about blockchain technology and make all these different payment apps, start paying for things with digital assets and say, hey, let's add these cryptocurrency networks to the back end of all these major financial institutions. That way, people can keep using their credit cards and debit cards, which are already nice and simple to use, and they won't even know it, but cryptocurrency technology will help them and give it power. Now, I'm going to show you a very interesting video of Jack Dorsey talking about this. Jack Dorsey is a huge Bitcoin fan. It's pretty much all he talks about. He will talk about the same thing we're talking about in this clip. It's one of the worst things about Bitcoin. I want to play around with this movie for you and then break it down because I think it makes the case for XRP much stronger. Pay attention to this. We'll now jump ahead in time and see that Bitcoin has failed. What went wrong? The lack of respect is what I think makes it fail. It's just not useful for people on a daily basis. It doesn't become important at all if it turns out to be just some kind of value. For it to be useful in everyday life, I think it has to be paid. You only use it in an emergency or when you need to get liquid again. Other than that, you buy it and forget about it. So I think it will become less useful over time if it doesn't move on to payments and find a regular use case. And that makes me fail. That brings up something Brad Garlinghouse said a very long time ago, and I believe this is one of the main issues with Bitcoin. It's not likely that my friends will use Bitcoin to pay for things when they go to the store. It doesn't make sense to me that the US government would switch from paper money to Bitcoin. No way in hell am I going to believe that any of these countries will switch from their own currency to Bitcoin. This is completely impossible, and most people don't even want it. On top of that, there is already a move away from that. I doubt that many Bitcoin users are even aware of it. Who wants to spend their digital gold when you call it digital gold? No one, right? It keeps money safe. It can't be both a way to pay for things and a way to store value. What's the point of giving someone your source of value as payment? You want to keep your value safe and pay people with something else. I agree with everything Jack Dorsey says. It will slowly make Bitcoin useless. But the XRP system was made in a very different way. The people who made the XRP system knew that a lot of payments would still be made in fiat currency. In order to do that, they made something called an issued asset. The XRP ledger can have fiat cash printed on it. It's possible for anything to be written on the notebook, for the simple reason that the people who made the XRP ledger knew that XRP or Bitcoin would not be used as national currency by states. You should not pay for things with something that can change quickly. It doesn't make sense. I only want to send them the amount of money they ask for. It's not important to me to figure out how many Bitcoin that is. It doesn't make sense. And that's one of the worst things about how Bitcoin is made. The XRP system is not the same at all. On the XRP ledger, you can create any product you want. It works with any object. But you can issue any asset on the XRP ledger, and it still uses XRP as its original currency. Because of this, the XRP record could be used to build a whole financial system, and no one would even know they're using XRP. And they would even know. They are only getting the benefits of using a public blockchain, like how fast and clear it is. That, in my view, is one of the most important things for XRP to do in the future, and the people who made the XRP ledger knew this from the start. It's not enough to make something that someone will want to hold, forget, and never touch again. It has to do with building a very useful network that can reach every part of the financial system and totally change how payments are made today. In this way, the XRP ledger holds potential for the money system. Jack Dorsey, who is a big Bitcoin fan, also gets it. The only difference is that the people who made the XRP system and the people in the XRP community knew this a lot sooner. It was clear to us that these deep network effects couldn't just happen by chance. They needed something more substantial. For these networks to be used for what they were meant for, they needed to be financially useful. In my opinion, this is where the XRP system and XRP really stand out from most other cryptocurrencies market. When you add in Ripple's plan to bring the technology to these huge banks with millions and billions of customers, the game changes totally. This is one of the biggest problems I see with Bitcoin going forward. Having said that, I'd like to talk about something totally different, what's going on in the market right now, since we're still seeing a huge shakeout. But something very, very interesting happened today. The stock market lost $3,250 billion. On the other hand, $5.4 billion was added to the market for cryptocurrencies. This is something that doesn't happen very often. Whenever the stock market goes down, the Bitcoin market usually goes down with it. We're not seeing that though. Instead, the Bitcoin market is moving in a different way than the stock market. I think that is a very, very, very important thing to watch. As long as the cryptocurrency market stays strong during this big red wave, it means that there's so much demand for them right now that they're going against the direction of the major indices. What I think will happen after this sell-off is over is very bright. I think the stock market is holding up the Bitcoin market right now as it sells off. As we already said, all the major markets are witnessing a huge, huge, huge sell-off. However, tariffs are the main cause of this. Even though I've talked a lot about tariffs on this channel, I think it's important for people to know that Trump was talking about them the whole time he was running for office. The plan for the economy was backed by the whole business and a lot of people. They were so sure that tariffs would be great that they said tariffs are going to be great. All of a sudden, tariffs were put in place and now everyone is saying, oh, the mainstream media says tariffs are bad, bad, bad. But a few months ago, everyone was so excited because they thought taxes would be good for business. That tells me that no one is really looking at this from a business point of view. People are only interested in how the market is reacting and getting caught up in that. When you look at how taxes affect the economy, I think you'll see that they probably don't do much to hurt the US economy.